my dear children, Namaste and welcome to session 1 of CBSE 9 chapter, The Fundamental Unit of Life. This is Ambika, your biology master teacher, right here on this amazing platform. Hope all of you are doing absolutely great. Okay guys, let's get started. I'm actually pretty excited to get started with this session because I think on YouTube, this is the first time I am handling a 9th standard batch. Last year I was focused only on ICSE 10, and this year I have already started with CBSE 10, but CBSE 9 we are getting started right now. So let us go ahead with full spirit, with full josh, and make all your concepts a lot simpler than they seem to be. Okay, so as always, I love starting with a positive quote. So here this is what I have to say. No matter how bad it gets, the sun will always come out. What does that mean? It doesn't literally mean the sunshine or the summer season or monsoon and the rainy season or anything like that. All that it says, all that it implies is that no matter how difficult any problem may seem, doesn't matter. It's not like the end of the world. You will come out of it, and definitely a brighter time is right there in front of you. You're perhaps very close to it. So time will heal everything. Okay, with that positivity in mind, let us get started, children. I have to tell you something before we start with the concepts for today. Basically, you know what, in online learning, especially this year, this is perhaps relevant to all of you in 2020 now, because suddenly your school and everything else has become online, right? Because unfortunately, because of the COVID pandemic, we are not able to travel physically to most places so that we can stay safe from infections and save others from the infection, right? So there are definitely certain limitations that online education can have as compared to offline classes, but we here are always there to support you and prove that online education is actually a lot better than you ever thought. I think these are the most common problems that most of you children are perhaps facing with online education. You may have a lot of doubts that you are unable to get solved because your teacher is not physically in front of you. You may not have access to proper notes because nobody is there to monitor your notes or whether you are even taking notes properly. And then systematic tests and assignments, competitive exams, choice of schedule, choice of language, all that can be a problem. But you know what? The best thing is that at Vedantu, we have all these problems solved for you. And in addition to solving these problems, we also have a lot of bonuses, amazing bonuses like unlimited live classes, all micro courses and crash courses. For your information, for those of you who don't know what a micro course is, here at Vedantu, we have programs called micro courses, which are basically small concept level courses or even chapter level courses for that matter, designed to help you so that you can get just those chapters cleared by our expert teachers, for which those chapters for which you have been facing a lot of difficulty. Right, that is what micro courses are. Crash courses, you perhaps know what it is. In addition to this, we have performance reports, personalized attention, and a lot more. So what do? Just visit vdnt.in/YTPRO. Okay, so note this link. I will be showing you the same link at the end of the session also, but this is it. And then what do? After visiting this link, you will get an option to choose your grade. Okay, so basically for you guys, I'm assuming you would be in CBSE 9 if you're attending this current session. So selecting the grade, you can select it as 9 here, right there. And then you will have to select the target. Of course, in this example, we have selected it as 10, but then for you guys, it will be 9. Select the target. Basically, it will be CBSE 2021 for you and as relevant to other students like ICSE 2021, Maharashtra Board 2021, and so on. For you guys, it will be CBSE 2021. And then about the different plans that we have a 1 month plan, we have 3 months plan, we have 6 months plan. All of this which are called Vedantu Pro subscription courses. If you subscribe to our courses for one full month, normally the amount payable would have been 2,699, but then after you apply the coupon code AMBPRO, you're going to get it at a discounted price of 2,294.15. This is for 1 month. And then for 3 months, your benefits will also increase in terms of the reduction in the amount is also going to increase. 6,999 would be the amount payable normally, but then AMBPRO, application of that code, will make it 5,949.15. And then for 6 months, you would get even more of a benefit. 11,499 would be the normal amount payable, but then using this coupon code, the amount payable gets reduced to 9,774.15. Okay, so do keep this in mind, children, and do note the coupon code AMBPRO. Again, I'll be showing it to you at the end of the session so that you can avail full benefits. Of course, you may ask me, ma'am, while you have been covering all our syllabus, the entire syllabus on YouTube, why do we even have to go for this? Well, on a personal note, I would like to tell you, children, that YouTube, we are here to ensure that all of you at any time of the day, any time of the year, everyone has enough access to proper quality education. But then, although we ensure that we are covering all your concepts, it may not be completely sufficient to consider as a course, right? More of a personal attachment and so on and on and on, so that you have one-on-one contact with teachers, communication with teachers, and all the class teachers who will also be there to assist you with your doubts full time. So many benefits which our other courses have. Okay, so please do check it out and see what suits you and your budget and everything, and certainly I would suggest go for it. Okay, and in today's session, let us learn about the cell theory, unicellular and multicellular organisms, and the basic structure of a cell. Okay, so now, you know what, what I have shown you here lists out the major events in cell biology and imaging. Now, the cell, we know, is the basic and the most fundamental unit of life. That is why the chapter's name itself is the fundamental unit of life, right? Okay, 1 second. Okay, I was just checking if my head is getting cut off. Okay, I'll start with this slide once again, cut that part. All right, and let's get started. Now, this image in front of you lists out the major events in cell biology and imaging. So what do I mean by that? Basically, simply put, the basic or the most important milestones which have played a very, very important role in the field of research with regard to cell biology, or cytology as we call it. Okay, there are a lot of events, lots of developments that have occurred through the years. For example, where did it all start? It started with the discovery of the cell. Okay, and when did that happen? That happened in 1655. Imagine, such a long time back. And it was Robert Hooke who observed the cells of a cork tree through a primitive microscope. Even the microscopes back then weren't very well developed, but with the basic microscope that he had, he observed cork cells, dead cork cells basically. Okay, and then after that, in 1674, Leeuwenhoek discovered protozoa, and in 1683 Leeuwenhoek again discovers bacteria. Okay, all of these of course were live cells which were observed by Leeuwenhoek, but then the person to have first observed cells, whether it's dead or living, to have observed cells is most definitely Robert Hooke, but then the first living cell was observed by Anton van Leeuwenhoek. Okay, so let's remember that. Do not worry too much about the pronunciation, children. Of course, it is important. We must give a lot of respect to the people who have brought in a lot of change to science as we know it today. But then my personal suggestion to you is, whatever helps you remember the spelling easily, make sure you pronounce it that way. Okay, but of course without too much of change from the original, of course. And then 1838, Schleiden and Schwann proposed the cell theory. Okay, you need to wait for a bit to understand more about that, which is why I have put this in green font here. We'll be talking about that in a bit. So hold on. And then 1857, Kolliker describes mitochondria in muscle cells. And then 1882, where Koch used aniline dyes to identify bacteria which caused TB and cholera. 1898, Golgi stains cells with silver nitrate, discovering the Golgi apparatus. So Golgi apparatus, as you know it, it's named after the scientist who discovered it, and his name is Golgi. Okay, and then 1931, we've reached the 1900s. Of course, these are not the only findings in these years, but these are definitely the major milestones in cell biology, which is why they are worth being mentioned before we start with this chapter. Okay, not that these are definitely going to come in your exams, but as a responsible biology student of class 9, you must know all this. Okay. In 1931, Ruska builds the first transmission electron microscope. More advancements in microscopy came up. A type of electron microscope, high resolution electron microscope called transmission electron microscope. And then 1965, the first commercial scanning electron microscope, which is another type of electron microscope, was also discovered. And then 1997, the cloning of sheep. All of you must have heard of that story, right? So imagine 1655 to 1997, 300 odd years, right? Approximately, through which so many changes came up. And today, even today, every single day, things keep changing, things keep getting advanced in the field of science, and especially in the field of life sciences or biology. I think every few seconds people just keep discovering new things. Anyway, enough of all that. Let us now come to cell theory, which I told you is very important for all of us to understand. Basically, the cell theory in the initial form that we knew it was proposed by a combination of postulates by three different scientists: Schleiden, Schwann and Virchow. Okay, let's look at what exactly they tried to suggest. So these are the major contributors to cell theory. As I said, Schleiden, Schwann and Virchow, of course I've mentioned them, but Robert Hooke definitely, right? Because without Hooke, we may not have known cell as it was discovered in the 1600s. So these are the major contributors to cell theory. And in addition to that, let us also understand a few important points. Of course, what you see here, the first 3 points which I have put here on top are cell theory in its basic original form. Okay, so in addition to that, today we must keep in mind that even these 3 points are important as part of cell theory because of the contributions of many different scientists. So it says that all living organisms are made of cells. Okay, every single living organism, be it a bacterium, be it a fungus, be it a protozoan, be it a human being, plant or any other animal, or anything for that matter, simple or complex is not a problem. Every living organism is made of cells. Then secondly, cells are the basic, the fundamental unit of life. Do you actually know what that means? Why do we call cell as the basic fundamental unit of life? In fact, it is the finest unit, okay, in which life can be considered as being present. Or if a cell is dead, then that's it. If all the cells in a person is dead, then that person is considered dead. Everything, life started with one single cell. And one single cell kept on evolving, and even today it is evolving in many different forms, knowingly or unknowingly, mostly unknowingly obviously, and that is how over thousands of years species are also evolving. Every single change happening at the cellular level would be considered responsible for every change that we see in life as a whole, right? Because so many years ago, when life on Earth first began, there weren't so many varieties of organisms, there weren't so many millions of different species known, Perhaps there was a time when there was no life at all, and then life started as one single cell, which divided into two, became 4, 8, 16, and so on and on and on. Right? And today we have so many different varieties that we see around us. This is why we say cells, although microscopic, we can't see them with our naked eyes, they are certainly considered the basic and the fundamental unit of life. Okay, and then the third point here, cells arise from pre-existing cells. Okay, so these are the three major points which Leiden, Schwann and Virchow proposed based on their findings and discoveries. Like Schwann, for example, based his studies on animal cells, Leiden based his studies on plant cells, and Virchow, within a few years, he added on his findings also. Okay, not that they actually worked together and came up with it. And then additional pieces of information which came up in the later years. Hereditary information is passed from cell, and then all cells have the basic, pretty much the same basic chemical composition. We know DNA or nucleic acids. All of you would know what DNA is. I'm sure children these days, I think back in my 9th standard, I don't remember having known the terms DNA, RNA and all that, but these days, also the COVID pandemic also has opened up interest in everyone's minds about a lot of life forms and how DNA and RNA function and things like that. So you all know what it is. It's basically a biochemical substance found in our cells, basically the most important biochemical component in our cells. Okay, and then energy flow occurs within cells. All of these three, what we have mentioned at the bottom, are additional points which you can add to the cell theory in the form that we know it today. Okay? And now let's think about it. The cell, the simplest of cells may look simple. What does this look like actually for you? Well, when I look at it, although the color is like a beautiful blue, yellow and a purplish tinge in the middle, to me, the shape and everything looks like either the eye of an organism. When I say eye, it reminds me of the fried eggs, the half-boiled or the fried eggs in the bull's eye form. Okay, anyway, if that makes it easier for you to remember, please do picturize it that way so that it's easier for you to draw the cell also. The cell membrane, basically every cell is made of a membrane, a nucleus in the middle, and the cytoplasm around the nucleus. Okay, so cells may look simple at one glance, but actually it is not as simple as you may think. An animal cell would look like this when cut open. Obviously not exactly cut open, but then this is just there as a form to help us visualize whatever components are inside a cell. Okay, animal cell, and here we go, a plant cell. The shape itself is totally different, right? And then a bacterial cell may be even different as compared to these two, but most importantly for us in the 9th standard CBSE level, the most useful thing is to understand what a plant cell looks like and what an animal cell looks like. We must know the clear comparison between the two of them. Okay, so let us move ahead and also understand that cells in general, not just in human beings, although the picture here shows only in human beings, but in general, cells can be of various shapes and various sizes. It's not like cells are always represented as a circle or as a hexagon or as any polygon. No, not really. Cells are of various shapes, they can be of various sizes. Of course, we say they are microscopic, but we say the ovum or the egg cell in humans, that is also a cell. The sperm is also a cell. You can see all those pictures here. Everything is marked out here. The brain cell, neurons, the heart cell, liver cell, your red blood cells, your white blood cells, your skin cells, so on and on and on. Every type of cell having many different shapes and sizes. Right? So coming back to the point that I was saying, the egg cell, we're saying, is also a cell. So the egg that you eat, most commonly we eat chicken's egg or duck eggs are also common, I think. Quail eggs are also smaller than chicken eggs. Ostrich's eggs are considered to be very, very huge, right? Do you think they are also one single cell, or do you think they are a group of cells? think about it and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below or in the chat box, because I will be watching this while the premiere is happening. Okay, is an ostrich's egg, a hen's egg, or a duck's egg, all of this, are they considered to be single cells or are they groups of cells? Because if human egg is a single cell, it makes sense to imagine them also as single cells, right? But then they are not microscopic. Why so? Then is it true to call them single cells? These are all questions that we must think about. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Okay, now coming to the cell structure of an animal cell. Today, children, I will not be going into explaining the details of each of these, because in our upcoming sessions, we are going to be understanding the functioning and appearance of each of these very, very well, okay, at a level deep enough for a 9th standard CBSE child. But for now, let us understand what goes into making an animal cell. Okay, so as you can see, all these parts which are mentioned here, they are called cell organelles. Okay, so what is it? All of these terms are important to understand. An organism, I am an organism, and I am made up of many different organ systems. Each of my organ systems is made of many different organs. What do I mean by an organ system? My digestive system is an organ system which is made of organs such as my stomach, my small intestine, my large intestine, and so on, even liver, pancreas, all of them. My respiratory system is another organ system which is made up of organs like my lungs, my trachea, my nose, all of those, everything together forming an organ system, the diaphragm, everything. My circulatory system is also another organ system made up of many different organs. Okay, so organ system, organism first, and then organ system, and then organ. Each organ is made up of many different tissues, and many different tissues. Each type of tissue is made up of many different cells. Cells inside one single cell, what you see are organelles. Once again, let me repeat that, children, because this is a basic concept to get clear in your mind. Organism, organ system, organ, okay, tissue, cell, organelle. Okay, super duper important because it forms the basic of your understanding about life as a whole. So in an animal cell, in a typical animal cell, you would find all of these. You would find, although you may not be required to know each of these in detail, some of the major organelles that we will be learning in this chapter, of course, as I told you earlier, the plasma membrane or the cell membrane that you can see here. And inside that is the cytoplasm. This entire portion which you see inside the plasma membrane is the cytoplasm. And the nucleus, the beautiful purple colored nucleus. Right. And then what are the other things? Additionally, you would also have to learn about organelles like the endoplasmic reticulum, which is of two types: rough endoplasmic reticulum, which you can see here, and also smooth endoplasmic reticulum, which you see here. Rough, perhaps because of its appearance, rough appearance. We will discuss all that, okay? Let me control myself and not burst out all of that surprise right away, because we need to reserve a little bit for upcoming sessions also, okay? And then ribosomes. Ribosomes are also super duper important organelles inside a cell, okay? Nucleus, even within the nucleus, you have a nucleolus. And in addition to that, you have thread-like components, which we call chromatin. Okay, and then we also have Golgi apparatus, the Golgi vesicle, peroxisome, secretory vesicle, vacuoles. In animal cells, there are very, very tiny vacuoles, which are a little different in plant cells. I will show you that also very soon. And then smooth endoplasmic reticulum, I've already told you that. Lysosomes, microfilaments, centrosomes, and then microtubules. Cytoplasm, I've already told you. Cytoplasm, by the way, do remember, it is not a cell organelle. It is rather the fluidy medium within which all the cell organelles are lying embedded. Okay. So I told you, imagine it like the bullseye form, or if you want to think of more complex roles to each of these. Think of it now in the view that you are seeing it right now. The bullseye has zoomed in to take the shape of a cheesy vegetable omelette. Imagine it like that. Nucleus, give it the name of one of your favorite vegetables, peroxisome, maybe green chilies. Nucleus probably can be chopped onions. Mitochondria can be some other vegetable like carrot or something else, and anything and everything that comes to your mind. But all I want you to have in mind, children, is the clear picture of what an animal cell looks like. Okay? Let's not make things complex. This is it. Just be familiar with these names until we meet again in the next session. Okay, this is about the animal cell. What about in a plant cell? Look at that beautiful green structure. The shape and structure itself looks very different from the animal cell. Animal cell is more or less rounded in shape, not exactly, but more or less. Okay, whereas a plant cell is usually drawn as a polygonal structure. Okay, so all of these are the major parts of a plant cell. Of course, it would also have the plasma membrane, nucleus and cytoplasm. But in addition to that, plant cells also have something that we call the cell wall. What you see here, the cell wall. Cell wall is a rigid wall. Literally, it's a wall that even surrounds the cell membrane, whereas animal cells don't have it. Why is it there? We will learn it in the upcoming sessions, but for starters, let me tell you, cell wall is there because plants need additional rigidity, additional structures to give them additional rigidity, whereas animal cells don't really need that kind of support. Okay? Now, what is the other major difference you would find in a plant cell? Chloroplast, look at that. Chloroplast, and inside a chloroplast, you would find substructures like the thylakoid membranes, stored starch granules, and so on. All of us have heard about the process called photosynthesis. You've been hearing this from your primary school days probably. Photosynthesis, surprisingly or interestingly, happens inside the cell organelle called chloroplast. Because we don't have a chloroplast, we are unable to carry out photosynthesis. Okay, it's nature's way of keeping plants the most important organisms on this planet, life-sustaining organisms, I would say, on this planet. Okay. And then the vacuole, look at the vacuole. What is special about this? As you can see, if you compare it with the previous image we have seen, animal cell's vacuole is just this much in size, whereas in a plant cell, the vacuole is occupying so much of space inside the cytoplasm, right? Again, there is a very strong reason to that, which I will be explaining when we talk about the organelle vacuole. Okay, for now, just understand vacuole in plant cells is much bigger in size as compared to an animal cell's vacuole. Okay, and in addition to that, all of the other normal cell organelles which any typical cell, including animal cells, would have. But these are the major differences: cell wall, chloroplast, and the appearance of the vacuole. Okay, and with that, let us come to the quiz time, the much awaited quiz time. Okay, I will give you not more than 10 seconds to answer each question. I will certainly be watching who's the smartest and fastest in giving me the answers. Okay, so stay with me till the end. At the end, again, homework question. Those of you who are new here, I will be signing off only after giving you a homework question. And let's see who's going to be answering best and fastest in that as well. Let's get started with the quiz time. The first living cell was discovered by Leeuwenhoek, Darwin, Hooke, Newton. And your time is up. The answer is Leeuwenhoek. Probably many of you said the answer is Hooke, but I think I told you this very clearly. The first living cell, note that point, was discovered by Anton van Leeuwenhoek. But then Robert Hooke was the first to discover any cell at all. But then what he saw was dead cells, dead cork cells. Next one, a multicellular organism has single cell, many cells, all the cells similar, none of these. Okay, and your time is up. The answer is many cells, multicellular, unicellular. Uni stands for one, multi stands for many. Okay, so a multicellular organism like us or like any other animal or plant has many cells, whereas a unicellular organism like an amoeba or a bacterial cell or a bacterium may have just one cell, which making up its entire body, which is why we call them unicellular organisms. Okay, now Robert Hooke first observed the cell in dash. I think I told you the answer just now, a couple of minutes ago. Cork, leaves, flower, roots. And your time is up. The answer is cork, definitely. Okay, now dash actually means a little room. What do you think? Tissue, organ, organism, cell. Use your common sense. This is something that you know. I don't think I have told you this directly in today's session, but relate all these terms with a little room. Your time is up and the answer is cell. Okay. Now, this is because in ancient days, the tiny rooms, the tiny chambers used by monks of that time, of those times, in Robert Hooke's times, they were called as cells, which is why when Robert Hooke observed these cells under the microscope for the first time, the moment he saw them under the microscope, those cells or those little chambers or rooms were what came to his mind. So he decided to name them cells. Okay, now largest cell in the human body is the sperm, cardiac cell, muscle cell, or the ovum. And your time is up. The answer is ovum. Ovum is much larger than the sperm. For your information, if you did not know this, ovum is the largest cell in the human body, and every other cell, as I said, has its own shape and size, basically designed in such a way that it can perform its respective function optimally. Neuron, for example, your nerve cell, has a specific or a typical shape and size. Your red blood cells have a typical shape and size, white blood cells have a typical shape and size, and so on and on and on, so that they can perform their respective functions optimally, most efficiently. Everything, its shape and size of a cell, is designed based on its functioning. Okay. Now, the longest cell in the human body is the sperm, neuron, muscle cell, or ovum. For people who are wondering what a neuron is, it's a nerve cell. Okay. Yes, and your time is up. The answer is neuron. It's a long cell. It's one of the longest cells, or rather the longest cell in the human body. A nerve cell. It makes up your brain, your spinal cord, and all your nerves. Why would it be very long? Obviously, so that it can transmit information from one part of your body to another. Right? Okay, and that's about it. Well done, all of you who have got all the answers correct. Rest of you, it's all right. All that matters is that you have participated well enough through the session. And now let us have a quick recap, not exactly recap. Let me remind you that you now know about the cell theory, about unicellular and multicellular organisms, and about the basic structure of a cell, okay, of an animal cell and of a plant cell. We will be talking about the functions of each cell organelle in our upcoming sessions. So stay tuned, do not miss any of our sessions. Before we sign off, let me give you the homework. Name the special type of cells which receive information from surroundings. Wow! How are we linked to our surroundings? Name the special type of cells which help us perform this particular function. Okay, so let's see who's giving me the answer fastest and best. And guys, let me remind you once again regarding the pro subscription courses. I have told you all you have to do is just visit vdnt.in/ytpro, and the coupon code that you can apply to avail amazing discounts is AMBPRO. Okay, once again, I suggest this, I recommend this strongly to you to avail the full benefits of the courses we have at Vedantu. If you have enjoyed this session, children, please do remember to hit the like button right now. Share it with all your CBSE Class 9 friends and anyone else who you think will certainly benefit from this session. And hit the subscribe button and the bell icon next to it so that you do not miss out on any of the updates that we will keep having every single day on this amazing channel, Vedantu 9 and 10 English. And in case you have any personal feedback to give me, ambika.gopalakrishnan@vedantu.com. Send me an email on that or drop a comment in the comment section below. Okay, so until we meet again in another session with the next topic of this chapter, this is Ambika signing off. Until then, remember to take care, stay happy, stay healthy. Bye bye.